All right, moving on. As US cities, including Seattle, prepare to host the World Cup, we're just 5 days away from the first match to be held in the Stadium District in Seattle. We've heard some of the familiar warnings. You may have seen some of the posts on social media or watched local television stations that have been reporting on human trafficking and supposed spikes that happen around sporting events, major sporting events like this. Now, advocacy groups have indeed rolled out their awareness campaigns. City authorities say anti trafficking efforts are, in fact, being ramped up. So I was kind of curious, is there really a spike as a result of these, or is it just always bad and now we're paying attention to it? And I spoke this morning with Dr. Aisha Mays. She has a medical practice in Oakland, California. She's also founder of an organization called the Dream Youth Clinic, and they provide no cost medical services for vulnerable youth in the Bay Area, young people between the ages of 12 and 24. And she advocates quite a bit for helping young people escape the sex trafficking world. As I mentioned, she's in the Oakland area. It's really bad there, like it is in Seattle. She told me she's of the opinion that the topic of sex trafficking is still very taboo for a lot of people who simply don't want to talk about it.
People not wanting to think about it and talk about it is one of the main drivers of sex trafficking. The fact that we see it, we see things that may seem they may seem concerning, and we our intuition is telling us something, but we don't want to think about it. We don't want to see it. And that is a very strong driver of trafficking. The demand is also a very strong driver. We know again that there are some people that want to be involved in illicit behaviors with children, with young people, and then also just scarcity in communities. So you also ask, like, why is Oakland one of the hot spots? Well, Oakland is also a space where there is high rates of poverty, high rates of violence, high rates of people not having the appropriate education to support them to getting well-paid jobs. And so when we see that, there's a lot of exploitation of people that can happen there. And so there are high rates of exploitation in Oakland because of the scarcity that also we also see in Oakland, in addition to the demand, in addition to people not wanting to see and looking away when they actually see something concerning right in front of them.
So Dr. Mays suggests, as do many others in human trafficking awareness and that advocacy circle, that major sporting events like the World Cup bring more exploitation for victims. But others say, yeah, it's a welcome opportunity to bring attention to the issue, but there's no actual research, no data that backs up that big events like the Super Bowl and the World Cup actually bring a spike in sex trafficking. Um, and some of them are concerned that framing trafficking in this way as sort of episodic, right? It's only bad when there's a big sporting event or other big attention on a city, kind of is counterproductive maybe to the whole desire to bring attention to the issue. They call it the flashlight effect. Shine a light on this right now and everyone's paying attention. Doesn't necessarily mean it's worse right now, but maybe it's better to be paying attention to it regardless. There is, obviously an ongoing argument about that. And I asked Dr. Mays specifically about that.
I do love that there is more attention, that we're actually talking about this more, the more that we have these very large national and international events in the United States, because it is not just hyperbole. There is an uptick. There is an uptick of trafficking around large national and international sporting events, large national and international events. And again, we saw it in the Super Bowl. So we saw it recently during the Super Bowl that was here in the Bay Area. There was a large uptick of sex trafficking during the Super Bowl. And there actually were in Santa Clara County, the county where the Super Bowl was held, they were actually able to arrest hundreds of people who were soliciting young people. They also were able to then go after some of the exploiters as well. So we know that this is true. And again, because we know that with these large events, it is entertainment. And what comes with large entertainment is also people consider sex and sex trade and a commercial sex as part of entertainment. So we know there's a large uptick in other types of sex work and we know that, adults that are consenting to other types of sex work, if it's legal, then, that's a different thing. But we also know that they really do go hand in hand. And so what we are most concerned about is the safety of young people, the safety of minors, and also the safety of young people in their 20s, right, who also might have been exploited as minors. We want to make sure that there is no coerced or exploitative sexual behavior that's happening during these large events.
So I looked up some details on this year's Super Bowl, and the Santa Clara County, California District Attorney's Human Trafficking Task Force did report on some statistics, numbers that showed enhanced investigations resulted in the arrest of 29 traffickers and the recovery of 73 sex trafficking victims, including 10 minors. One of those victims was just 12 years old. They held those operations across 11 Bay Area counties during that big sporting event. So, again, was this a result? The increased numbers were a result of increased enforcement and police paying attention to the issue and kind of, dedicating additional resources to it. And that's what spiked the numbers? Or was it a result of, the actual event happening in that city? It's going to be very interesting in the weeks following the World Cup matches here in the Seattle area to find out if, in fact, there was a spike. Did police put any additional enforcement mechanism in place? I promise we're gonna be doing a follow-up and get you those numbers.